Hey job. Hey guys, today I'm going to review all the jobs I've ever had. The first one being at the bottom of the food chain in the ranks of doctors in the hospital in Taiwan. My salary was about $800 a month, which was like 25,000 yen in New Taiwanese dollars. For the record, that was not a lot in Taiwan, but it was because I was technically still a medical student. I was at the end of my med school years, but what I was doing was like what PGY1 is doing right now. I think the system changed in 2013 or something. So during the day, depending on the rotation schedule, I'll follow a team of like attending physician, his or her residents, nurse practitioners. I would basically just try to be a helpful team member. So anything from like taking a history of the new patient, doing examinations of the new patient, and simple procedures like NG tube, urinary catheters, all of that can be part of the training and just like your regular day-to-day thing. Sometimes you get really good training with proper guidance and you feel like you're getting better and you're being included in the team, and that can feel really nice. Sometimes they're like understaffed, so you don't really get guidance and you're just like trying to do the same thing and get through the day. That can also happen. That is what you do during the day. And on top of that, you also need to do night shifts and weekend shifts because that's an important part of the training. Sometimes some issues can only manifest or happen during the night. So you just need to learn how to deal with those emergency situations. That can make the whole thing very tricky. On top of your regular job, you have to also stay up and you will get called probably every 2-3 hours or 1-2 hours. So you don't really get to sleep. I feel that a lot of people, when they consider the medical profession, they just know what they see when they encounter a healthcare team, but they don't see what they don't see. That part of the night training can be really tough on your body. Throughout that 7 years, of all the people I've ever met, probably have only seen 2 people being really genuinely happy and naturally pumped after a night shift. So that's just like one number for you to think about. But what I didn't really like, I don't know about in the US, but I feel like doctors in Taiwan could be paid more. In a sense, like in my parents' generation, doctors can easily start their own practice. So once you graduate from med school, you can easily find a place and you can start your own clinic, and then you're all set. You are your own boss. You decide when and how long you want to work, and then you have financial freedom from there. And that is not the case for our generation. You can work so hard, you can know so much, but then you have to still be relying on a job, and the job can demand a lot from your energy. So you're like close to your 30s and you're thinking about starting your family, you have your own house. Those things can really get delayed because of your training schedule. That is one thing. The other is if you're in this profession because you genuinely love the nature of the work. For me, the definition of genuinely loving something is if you're going to do that without money, are you going to want to do it? And I don't think a lot of people will want to do it for free. No one wants to do their job for free, right? We're just depending on the job to get the money that we need to pay the bills. That is true for doctors too. If you don't really like genuinely love it, and then you also don't get crazily well compensated for it, I think what they rely on to feel comfort about their life decision is just people's approval. To me, it's a very limited view in terms of the value system. If you don't follow the same value system and you don't go for the more selective residency program in the more selective hospitals, you are basically telling people that I'm not as competent as those people who go for those. You're basically choosing your lifelong profession and the location that you want to spend a good chunk of your life in, almost the same way you pick a school based on like SAT score. Like not really, I don't know how to describe that. It's a very suffocating feeling to me because if you want to go for something that's not really high on the list, people are gonna look at you and they're gonna say, oh, so you're not able to go to the more selective ones. That is of course not a really important thing to me right now, but when I was in my 20s, I feel suffocated. Looking back, now that I actually found a way out, I think when you go to this field, you need to know exactly what you want. You cannot just go in and want to go with the flow, because if you want to go with the flow, you will naturally want to go for what people think is the best. But whatever they think is the best, like whatever residency program they think is the most selective, it doesn't really matter to you. It might not work the best for you. So you need to know what you want, and you need to know that you don't need to follow those people's value system. That is very limited, and just go for what you want. I think this job is for someone who can do that and who genuinely loves the nature of the work. Then you will be able to survive this kind of intense schedule on top of basically limited pathway to financial freedom. Second job, also my real job. I was a big law corporate attorney. My starting salary was 200 something K. With bonus, it's like 230 something K. So that translated to like 4.5 to 4.8K per paycheck when I was in New York. And then I requested to be transferred to Texas to save money. So I was getting 6 something K per paycheck. When I left, my base salary was like 310K, 8.5K per paycheck in Texas. The demanding culture of the job is is pretty something. This is a slide that one of the big law firms used for their training. I mean, granted, they were trash talked once this slide was leaked, but it pretty much just portrayed the culture. It's not very far off from the reality. I will always be checking my phone. I will always be checking my emails. I work on things at 2 a.m. I work on things at 4 a.m. Working in every waking hour is actually a reality. It's not an exaggeration. It was not a problem when I was single, but once I have my family, the struggle was pretty real. It's a weird thing to have to be on call 24/7, and all the emergencies are man-made emergencies. They are not real, true emergencies like medical emergencies. It's really hard for me to justify that to my husband. He's not in law, so he's like, is this real? Are you just making it up? And I remember at the height of my burnout, there were a bunch of posts by spouses of big law attorneys who are not big law attorneys themselves. They're just like, is this real? Can you just verify? You guys really do this? I just find it really hilarious. Just these things, it just reflect how people inside the big law have come to accept things that are just so out of the world to others. I ended up just quitting the job for my baby, even though I didn't know I would meet the right person and start a family in the US. I did save and prepare for this moment when I needed to kind of deviate from the past. That is probably something that I can pass on. Even if you think that you will continue on this journey and keep staying in big law, it's still a very good practice to save and prepare for what you didn't expect. And last job is stay-at-home mom. Obviously, I don't have like a salary on paper. I'm not being paid with money. I think if you want to kind of calculate a salary, maybe I'm creating like 250K or 300K a year, because that will be the cost of hiring a stay-at-home nanny or a babysitter 24/7. What I will say is like, this is a 24/7 job, very demanding. But because of my prior careers in medicine and in law, right now I'm mostly very grateful that I get to spend time with my baby. I'm very grateful for my husband, like special shout out to him. I think like 99% of the time I'm very happy and grateful. But there 1% of the time I do feel a little bit, how do I say it? It's like I don't have a project of my own. Because I don't want to think of raising my baby as a project of my own, because that feels like a tiger mom thing where I would try to impose like my milestones on him and try to make him achieve something and take that achievement as my achievement. And I think that's kind of unhealthy. I don't want to do that. I'm just helping him develop into himself, and so that is his project. I'm helping him with his project. I'm not really doing anything that I can put under my name, and it can feel a little bit demoralizing that way. That's why I'm doing this channel. Hopefully I can just create some value to the world. I don't know. I also want to say about this phase of my life. I never have imagined that I would become a stay-at-home mom. So when I first became a stay-at-home mom, I had this mindset like I was sacrificing my career and my husband was not, and I had this like me against you kind of mindset. I came to see how that mindset is not really helpful, because like, what is the point of pointing the finger between me and him? Like, we're basically teammates. We're fighting. We should be fighting back to back, not towards each other. We're basically trying to establish a family together in this more and more expensive world. He is working very, very hard to provide for the family. I'm also working very, very hard to provide for the baby. So what is the point of pointing finger at him and saying like, I'm doing this, you're not doing that? I started to think that way, and it has made all the difference. I trust that he's doing everything he can. He's trusting that I'm doing everything I can. I think that has made all the difference. Just that one mindset switch. I understand how this rhetoric of husband versus wife and all those things is like a very popular trendy thing, but I just feel like I hope that you can see how having someone that you can fight together with is a more precious thing than winning a fight about like male versus female, me against you. And I hope that you get to find this person that you can fight back to back with.